Here, and welcome to this very odd little stream here. Um, Set some things up here. Um, CBT with Yuuka Kazami. Uh-oh, you can't see anything. There we go. There we go. Delicious. Check that out. Oof, that is simply beautiful. I. What the fuck is this? Okay, so I don't know too much about this particular character, but let's just read a short excerpt from the Wikipedia of Toho, right? Okay. Yuuka Kazami is a long-lived yokai called the Flower Master of the Four Seasons, whose main place of activity is in the Garden of the Sun. A field completely covered in sunflowers, she loves seasonal flowers, so throughout the year she moves to the respective places where flowers grow. Spring flowers for spring, summer flowers for summer, autumn flowers for autumn, and sometimes winter flowers for winter. I see. So she's a troublesome but very playful yokai. She holds strength in high regard. Her threat level is very high, and her human friendship level is as the worst. Um, so she comes off as fairly polite. She's incredibly strong, it seems like. Um, that's the main kind of vibes I'm getting, and that she's so confident in herself because she knows that she could kill you at any moment. Like that kind of confidence is the aura that I'm getting from her. Um, but you know, that's fine. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Jesus fucking Christ, that was okay. I don't know what the hell that noise was. Let's see this real quick. What is okay? What is this connected to? Cool. So let's see. Preferences here. Music volume. So there doesn't seem to be any. Actually, wait. Let me see. Volume mixer. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any music on this front page here. Um, uh, okay. Okay. Let's see this. And there we go. Okay. Beautiful. Absolutely enchanting. Uh, so now we know a little bit about the character. That's just like a random fucking Toho character. But CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is pretty much what you think when you think. Is that what it says? Tell me that's not what it says. Right? It's not. Right? It's not what it says, right? Refresh the page. I'm fairly certain it's not what it says. Fairly certain. No, this call. Onegaishimasu. Kudasai. Oh yeah, Phoenix, I don't know if you can see it or not if you're on desktop, but there should be a little overlay if you put your mouse over the stream here, where you can have fucking sound request and shit. Um, Let's see here. Fuck, where'd it go? Develop applications. Ito, you're granting this developer. Okay, sick. Yeah, I'll figure this out. Open access dialog. Oh, I gotta have like this running, don't I? Okay, I forgot about that. Okay, I have to put on recent events, and then it will work. Okay, sick. Right? Okay, yeah. Music player, open that up, then I can do it. I swear to God, if you say anything fucking uncouth, I will consume you. CBT. More like CBT. What the fuck is it? Okay. Non-discard. Go. Grant us access. Grant. Okay. Now does it work? Does it do your thing? I hope so. Oh, I can also switch it to an emote-only chat. Ah, shit. Oh, fuck. Okay. Now you can only communicate to me in emotes. Try your very hardest. Ah, shit. Okay. Never mind. There it goes. There we go. Try your very best. You won't be able to succeed. Oh. Not like this. Not like this. Okay, I will return to you. The ability. Okay. Hikomori. It's my favorite active homestuck. So, let's break apart CBT. Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. Does it say homestuck? Ah, shit. Ah, shit. Ah, shit. I didn't change it. Fuck. Okay. I was wondering, Phoenix, you didn't alert me. How dare you? Okay. Do you think it'll be on Twitch, like as a game? CBT. What is the fucking game even called? CBT with Yuuka. CBT with nope. Okay. How about just chatting? We'll do for now, right? Yeah, blind playthrough. Yeah, perfect. Bro, listen. Yeah. Yeah, so it's called CBT with Yuuka Kazami. CBT stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, and it is the classic kind of like therapy that you think of when you like see someone on the fucking classic couch or whatever. That is cognitive behavioral therapy. It's just counseling. It's talking to people, and it's becoming aware of your negative thinking and pretty much everything else. Um, you know, it's most effective with like depression, PTSD, not cock and ball torture. It's not cock and ball torture. Do not worry. Um, yeah, so a very common form of therapy. Yeah, it's not chicken, bacon, tomato. It's the classic. Um, okay, so um, so this is not cock and ball torture with Yuuka Kagami. Anyway, let's try to figure this out. Okay. To, to, allow this extension to note your fucking shit. Studio Rabzo. CBT Classic. I'll take some CBT Classic. Please and thank you very much. I would love that. I just want to get fucking music. Okay. If I click the thing, it should work, right? Why the fuck is there a hot dog? What? What does that mean? Why is there a hot dog? What? What the fuck? A really good dojo. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Of course you did. Of course you did. A totally normal dojo. Yeah, of course. Totally nothing to do with fucking in hentai or anything. Just drop the numbers and I'll forgive you for your lies. Okay, so see if the game has any music. So CBT with Yuuka Kazami. You walk along your way to the forest in search for the field of sunflowers. I read an excerpt. Yes, please. I read an excerpt from the Toho wiki, and it was Wait, didn't you like send that in the fucking Discord the other day? Like the fucking cute face or whatever. So I wrote in the wiki that said that she really likes sunflowers and flowers and all that kind of jazz. So we'll see. After some time, you come across the sunflower garden. You meet the person you're looking for. Hey, that's as far as you go. I don't really want you stepping on these sunflowers. You'll hurt the poor tortured souls that live inside them. Off to a good goddamn start, right? Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess there's no music for the game. So I'll just pull up some fucking random Toho jazz, right? Naito Boto Pog, of course. Video too long. I don't know, fucking Toho Jazz Cerno. How about that one? Fucking Toho Cerno. It's probably not even gonna bring up a fucking song or whatever. Memories of Phantasm. Is it like... Oh, I can't hear it. Let me bring it on. Oh, is that fucking Lavender Town? Wait, when did that happen? Yeah, I don't think that's very fitting. What is this? Is this a fight scene? It should be like an overlay, and I'm tell me if it works for you. I don't know. It should be like a little thing that that pops up on the fucking as an overlay as you hover over the screen. Remove timestamp. Oh, I see. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Girl's apartment. Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. Not too loud? Okay, let me lower it up a little bit. Just a bit. That should be good, right? So, okay. So she has poor tortured souls inside of sunflowers. She put them there. Just kidding, okay. I don't know anything about her. Not very much. I'm Yuuka Kazami. You must be here for the CBT sessions. I'm concerned why she's a therapist, but yeah. I mostly just keep to myself and enjoy the company of flowers all year round. But I figured it can't hurt to learn more about humans and how their minds work. So I picked up a psychology book that the half yokai shop owner had laying around in the store. It was there that I learned some cognitive behavioral therapy. It seemed pretty useful, and I couldn't help but want to share it with you humans. And here we are. So glad you could make it. Really glad you could make it. Real glad. That's a little spooky with that phrasing, but okay. Anyway, it's so nice of you to join me. The human mind, it's deep and complex. It's amazing. But at the same time, it's irrational and downright absurd at some points. Our brain is ultimately trying to protect itself, but sometimes it overreacts to things that aren't really visible, viable threats to our safety and well-being. These irrational thoughts can cause a slew of problems to our mental health. That's where cognitive behavioral therapy comes in. Essentially, cognitive behavioral therapy is using logic-based strategies to help alleviate symptoms of poor mental health. Oh, I've been doing that already. Sick. Our problems come from irrationality. Yes, use logic to address things that just simply can't be true. so it's only natural that grounding ourselves in logic and reason can help us live better. We can't change how we feel, but we can certainly change how we react. Of course. It becomes full circle, just like nature itself. Kind of beautiful when you think about it that way. With cognitive behavioral therapy, you can take some steps to finally reclaim your true self. With that said, this is different from simply giving you advice. There are actual activities that you have to try multiple times to see results. Where's this music coming from? I thought it was like a very lively jazz song, but now I see that this is the background music for the game, I think, and it just came on now. Let me check the volume mixer. Yes, that's... I was like, man, this is a really weird song. Okay. Nope, just dumb. Cool. Well, at least it's very jazzy, I like it. With that said, this is different, okay? So you need to actually do activities to get your mind get in the frame of mind. But you wouldn't have come all this way to not put at least some effort in, right? It wouldn't be very nice to waste your time here. Or my time. Wouldn't be nice. At all. With that said, let's begin the first lesson. This one is about negative or inaccurate thinking. In life, sometimes things do not go our way, and that is why I'm gonna save. I'm a compulsive saver. Naturally, this is perfectly normal and bound to happen eventually. However, sometimes we think of the worst possible things. History. We think of worst possible things as a result of when the unexpected occurs. As a result, we may develop certain lines of thinking that are not in line with reality. To combat this, we simply just need to challenge these overblown thoughts with reality. For example, let's say you said hi to a friend you saw across a hall or a street. But oh no, they seemingly completely ignored you. Now tell me, what's the reason for this? What usually comes to your mind when something like this happens? If you think logically, if you think irrationally, it's that your friend hates you. If you're irrational as well, you assume that your friend is mad at you. Or if you're particularly self-loathing, you might think that it's because you're dumb, stupid, and ugly, which none of these are likely true. But let's just go with the dumb, stupid, and ugly, shall we? Now, that's not an uncommon thought. Well, as you've just demonstrated, it's easy to jump to a conclusion and think it must be your fault when something like this happens. However, this is mostly an emotional side talking to us this way. We have not challenged it with logic. Now, I demonstrate some more logical grounds as to why your friend might have ignored you. They could have been busy with something that took up all their attention. They thought it was a stranger calling someone else. They could have been dealing with something serious and your voice was drowned out. They simply didn't hear you. See? Isn't that better? Don't you find it's much more likely that they just didn't hear you than them hating you over something you're not even sure you could have made them upset with? Next time you think of such negative thoughts, try to counter it with logic. Instead of thinking, they walked past me because they hate me, try thinking much more logical, such as, they were probably busy with something and simply didn't hear me. Of course, it doesn't apply to just friends. It can apply to anything. For instance, I myself don't particularly have any close friends, but I still worry about some things. When I see when I go flower gazing, a thought pops into my head. I'll think, oh no, what if someone interrupts my gazing and ruins the flowers I enjoy so much? But then I go, don't worry, the moment he so much as creases these flowers, I'll slowly turn him inside out with my pinky finger and make his family watch. That's pretty fucking hot, okay. And I just feel so much better afterwards. Oh, but such a thing doesn't really relate to you. Oh, here's one. Let's say you want to go to the doctor, but you're scared of needles and don't want to get seriously injured. Once again, just challenge it with logic. Counter it with something like she's a trained professional who has done this countless of times. The chances of anything going seriously wrong are extremely low. Now, I hope you get the general idea. Overall, if you get any negative thoughts that are causing you unease, be sure to try and challenge them with logic-based thoughts. Oh, and I wouldn't try to have grand arguments with yourself in your head. Just simply address the thoughts. And remember, you don't have to entirely believe what you counter with. The important thing is just to respond in an appropriate manner. Well, that concludes our first lesson. Now on to the next lesson. This one is about thought journals. Thought journals, this is the activity she was going about with. Thought journals are the use of writing down your negative feelings and identifying patterns of harmful and often illogical thinking, then challenging those lines of thinking with more helpful and balanced logical thoughts. First, you write out exactly what exactly is causing you distress and why. Be as specific as you can. Write down what you're feeling. You can even note the intensity of how you feel. Then, when you've written it out, identify the portions of irrational thinking present in what you have written. Finally, after you've identified the rational portions, change them with more healthy, balanced thoughts that are based on logic. This is helpful not only because you're challenging your beliefs again, but also because writing down your thoughts allows you to give them a whole new perspective that can help you cope better. Now, the tricky part is identifying what exactly wrote down that's irrational. I think it's best if I just give you an example of what a proper thought journal entry looks like. Okay, take a look at this. I tailor-made it for common situations humans face. Oh, okay. Well, back. What's bothering me? I think my friends don't actually like me. Don't want to hang out with me because I'm a depressing person who keeps them down. How does it make me feel? Sad, depressed, lonely, hopeless. How bad it hurts? 7 out of 10. Hurts pretty bad. Our irrational lines of thinking present inside. Okay, mind reading. I'm assuming that my friends are thinking about me even though I cannot read their minds. There's no way to know what they're thinking without them actually telling me. Negative assumptions. I'm only thinking that my friends don't like me. However, I did not take into account the nice things they've done for me that prove that they do in fact like me. Emotional reasoning. I'm only going off this based on feeling alone, and not logic. There's no evidence to suggest that my friends secretly despise me. What is a more balanced and reasonable thought? My friends wouldn't actually be my friends if they didn't like me. I can always ask them if there's anything I do that puts them in a worse mood, or they can just tell me themselves and we can work from there. And with that, you should have an understanding of what a thought journal is and how to use it. Oh, of course it's actual CBT. Of course it's real. I'm having a therapy session right now. I don't think you realize that. This is all but one big ploy for me to deal with my emotions real quick on stream. It involves more effort, but can be more helpful. And that's generally what you have to put in when it comes to more extensive therapy. On to the final lesson. This one is called belief experimentation. This one is a step further from what you've learned so far. This one is the most powerful CBT strategy you can learn. As the name implies, a belief experiment is when you act out of something that you think may cause you distress and then noting what actually happened when you acted out. Since our negative feelings are not based on reality, acting them out and noting what happened is one of the best ways you can ease your troubles. This is because more often than not, what actually transpired doesn't match with what we thought would happen in our minds. Now to get started, first, start by writing down the experiment. You're going to do what's based on your troubles. Then, write down what you think is going to happen. Next, perform your experiment, whenever that may be. Then you write down what actually ended up happening, and what you've learned from it. Was it as bad as you thought it was? Was it a positive or negative outcome? Would you be doing this again in the future? Did it ease your troubles? Just like the thought journal, reflection is key. I know, I'll perform a belief experiment myself. I already finished some of it anyway. Here goes. Experiment. I shall give CBT lessons to a human. Prediction. The human will end up wasting my time because I believe humans to be weak and disappointing. Outcome. Well, I guess now is as good as any time to show you my new spell card. Now then. Where were we? This is not what I paid for with my therapy. Alright, we were just seeing if you were really wasting my time or not. Let me quiz you on some things we learned today. Shit. I don't want to get shot. If you get it right, that means you've indeed been listening, and therefore have not been wasting my time, thus proving that humans aren't so bad after all. Get it wrong, and you'll just be confirming what I knew. But that's okay. It doesn't affect me in the slightest. Now, on to the first question. Let's start with something basic. What does CBT stand for? Marry me, Yuuka. Next question, I guess. What is a cognitive thought journal? When you write about how cute Yuuka is. Well, I guess that earned you the final question. What is a belief experiment? When you experiment with kissing Yuuka. No, come on, I was never going to hurt you. Oh. Okay, well then, I guess I should probably answer it right then. I just want to get shot. then. So CBT stands for cognitive behavioral therapy. When you write about the events that are bothering you, find flaws, and then when you act out what's actually bothering you, take note of what actually transpired. Come on, sugar. I just like to have fun and toy on humans. They're so unique. Sometimes I just mess around with them. Other times they turn into fertilizer for the sunflowers. Mostly kidding with that one. Anyway, she said mostly. Anyway, let's take the thought experiment from the top now, shall we? Experiment. I should go CBT lessons to a human. Prediction. Okay. Outcome. Prediction did not come through. The human listened to my me attentively, answered every question correctly, exceeding my expectations, and thoroughly entertaining me. Reflection. Humans can be wonderful source of entertainment. I shall hang out with them more. Particularly this human right here. Oh, I guess this goes without saying, but when you feel scared or frightened, always remember the happy times in your life. Good memories can save your life, as they say. Well, that concludes the lesson. Try whichever method works best for you whenever you need to use it. Make use of what I taught you today. I mean it. That said, I had a really good time today. Thank you. Feel free to come back anytime you want if you need a refresher. I do hope to see you soon. I better see you soon. Well, take care now. Well, that was shorter. That was shorter than I really wish it would be, but it was great. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful moment that we shared. That I called her cute and asked her to marry me, and you know, I don't blame her for saying no. But I think it was a beautiful moment that we shared. What should I do now? That's it. I know, that's really sad, isn't it? Oh well. She did give us a very nice, the basics of CBT. Great game, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Version 1.0. If you know who the... I commend you. Okay. Preferences, yep. Damn. Help. Assistive self-voicing.
Self-voicing enabled. You walk along your way to the forest in search for the field of sunflowers.
Okay.
After some time,
Wait, let me wait for like her to speak.
Yuuka, hey, that's as
This is the
far as you
canon
go.
voice for her, guys.
I really don't want you stepping on these sunflowers.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Yes.
She's... Okay, cool. Okay, well, what should I do, Phoenix? Should I listen to metaphysics? Should I fucking do the metaphysics set? What? Did they take it down? No way. No way! What? The fuck? They took it down. What the fuck? What the fuck? What fucking... what? My beautiful old guys. My beautiful old guys that spoke metaphysics. I had a 3-hour discussion that I wanted to listen to about metaphysics. I don't know. They destroyed it. I found it. Here it is. Okay, it's still there. Okay, someone re-uploaded it, I guess. Thank God. I was having a... Thank God. Jeez. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. So keep that open, and then switch from here to to this one, right? And then I don't have anything there. Okay, sick. Okay, well let's change the stream info then to, we'll send it to 3-hour discussion on metaphysics. It's philosophy shit.
Well, bring the mic.
Hi, Steve. Steve. Nice to see you again.
Oh, hi, Phil. Nice to see you again. Hello. Hello, Oliver. Hello.
So these are like different kind of scientists, I believe, in the late 80s, like mid 80s, and you know, very astute men.
Yes, you were raised there.
I played on Queens Boulevard.
The three of you are connected to Amsterdam.
Terrible.
Robert Sheldrake is living there at the moment.
I live there.
And Oliver Sacks and Stephen Toulmin were raised there.
Yes.
What kind of memories do you share? The same?
Well, we'll find out.
Well,
Okay, well, I've already seen this bit, but I'll just summarize it a little bit for you. They were discussing, okay, well, this is not what
We're
I
very
wanted.
pleased to have Dr.
They were discussing, like, your memories
well,
as a child,
bring the mic.
and how that kind of connects to today. And just like the things you remember that happened only once. Like someone remembered the eclipse, someone remembered something as a child that they made even greater than it actually was and actually believed that it's what happened. And then sometimes that our memories are wrong. But, you know, we still remember that in that way, even if we realize that they're wrong.
Grass green, why is the sky blue? Why does the moon have phases?
Okay, and this is when they're talking about, like, what makes someone a scientist or philosopher. And that is still connecting back into that kind of childish aspect, in that to be really interested in how the world works, you're a child. We're really just children. We're holding on to that childlike wonder of wanting to learn and understand shit. You know, because to be really mature, you could say, you'll drop all that. You know, you don't really think about it, and you'll, you know, make money and, you know, do shit for yourself. And that's what they're saying. But what's the point if you've lost the wonder, that childlike wonder that is so important to people like these guys, and, you know, not to the same extent, I guess, because these guys are fairly high up there. But, you know, me, I feel that doing a bit.
I can
Cool.
answer that.
And what was there before the Big Bang?
The same way that I feel now is a lot of the way that I felt when I was learning as a kid.
If there was any before the Big Bang, I mean, this is where the paralogisms really bite. I mean, we don't know whether to say that the Big Bang was the beginning of time, or whether to say it could be only one of a sequence of events in time, and that itself is a stinker. I think that's going to keep us going all day if we allow ourselves to aborde it.
Was that a program for the morning, the day, or a lifetime?
Well, we will end at 8 finally. So for 6 or 8 hours, we'll have discussed it all. But okay, we can start with the question: what was there before the Big Bang? A kind of Platonic archetype, or God, or Steve Gould is thinking, am I going all the way to Hilversum just for answering rubbish questions? Or not?
I think this guy's
It's
my
not a
favorite.
question we can take up. Anything you say is largely expressive of a whole set of personal biases that it would take hours on the couch to unravel.
And it may not even be a well-formed question, which I think was Steve Kuhlman's point. That is, can you use the word before in that
He was a
context?
paleontologist
It may be
and
simply an inappropriate
evolutionary
The question
biologist
whether it's well-formed or
at
ill-formed
Harvard.
is at the moment undecidable.
But it's a very profound and important question for science, and it's my own starting point.
namely that if we take evolution as a theory referring only to life, we're dealing with a very, very narrow section of a cosmic evolutionary process. And when we actually take the view of the Big Bang, assuming there was one, although most scientists refuse to discuss metaphysical questions and certainly don't want to have God in the picture at all, or if they do, have a kind of neo-deism where he just starts it off, likes the touch paper or something. In fact, there's an implicit assumption throughout the whole of science that all the laws of nature are fixed and that they were all there at the moment of the Big Bang. Whether they were there before it or not is an implicit assumption that runs through the thinking of most scientists. And it isn't explicitly formulated. It's present in the implicit assumption that any experiment ought to be repeatable anywhere, any time. The implicit assumption is that the laws of the nature are the same everywhere, at all times.
Yeah, that is one thing that you see a lot, and that is often, debated nowadays. The speed of light, the c, the light constant. We've been saying that it's the same for such a long time, and they've been doing studies and shit, and there have been times where people think that it changed, and other times people say that it hasn't changed, and how crazy it would be if we found out the light changed, like what we find as the constant has changed. It would be insane, but as of right now, we still agree that it's a constant. The speed of light is debated, and that does it change? Because we call it a constant, but could it be that the constants change over time? We haven't been testing these things long enough to really know. He is right. It's an implicit assumption that the laws of nature are the way that they are now and will stay that way. Or even that they're the same everywhere. With our mathematics, we can, deduce that they're the same everywhere throughout the universe. I think anyway, because, we make our models and simulations, and they match up pretty closely what's out there. Yes, after the devs added the speed of light update.
And in all places.
No, that's really not so. That's something we are testing all the time.
I've not met anyone testing it. Can you tell me how you're testing it?
By looking at these ancient objects in the sky and verifying whether their spectra follow the same laws as the ones down here. I mean, we have very direct knowledge of things that were going on only 1/4 of the age of the universe.
But by assuming that the laws were constant, you have to assume.
The speed of light is constant, for instance?
Well,
in order to arrive at any judgments about these early events?
No.
No, you don't?
No. I mean, you have things you observe and which you can compare with things that happen nowadays. And so far, the evidence is very strong that they behave the same way. But that's by no means taken for granted. But in fact, it's one of the very interesting open questions. Mm-hmm. And there are very few really good tests, but such as there are, they've always turned out negative.
For example?
Well, for example, the fine structure of the lines in the quasar, which, I don't need to get into the technicalities here, but this is a very direct piece of evidence. And it has when you look at the fine structure of carbon at 1/4 of the age of the universe, it turns out to look exactly the same as it does now.
Well, you see, I think it's perfectly possible that the behavior of carbon hasn't changed for 3/4 of the age of the universe. But since I myself think the regularities of nature are more like habits, that I would have said that's a habit built up much earlier on, and they get pretty constant.
That's a perfectly sensible hypothesis. I mean, we don't go back that far, of course.
But if you're putting...
By habit, I assume that what they mean is that things just kind of went insane at the Big Bang. Everything was so hot, and randomly, things happened. Quarks and stuff were made, and then they did something, and they stuck to it. They stuck to that habit. Upward, downward, all of it. It just kind of happened randomly, and they stuck to that the habit, and that's why they act the way they do. That was just kind of like a slot machine in what we'd get for constants.
Putting forward a theory where the regularities exhibited by, say, carbon atoms are really just habitual. It's a world of habit. Doesn't that...
That is a really weird concept, isn't it? That there was something infinitesimal where everything, and I mean everything, was in one place that can't even be measured. Something that was so goddamn small. But all of it fit there. Everything you know, everything you see, everything you don't see, all of it, in a small spot. It's an insane idea. We can't wrap our head around it because we can barely imagine the size of the universe. Just the size, let alone everything in the universe. It's something we can't imagine small. It's insane.
Presuppose a sort of law of habit. Why should habits behave the same from the Big Bang to the present? Aren't you yourself actually presupposing a regularity which then you use as the basis to explain these other regularities?
Yes, I'd concede that you need some law. Well, I would say there's a principle of habit in nature, but I would say it's without specific content. In other words, that the law would simply be that self-organizing patterns through repetition become more probable. But it wouldn't say which self-organizing principles come into being, and that there'd be a radical contingency. I think habit is a much deeper and more important principle in nature than we usually think. Law is the preferred metaphor in science, an extremely anthropocentric metaphor based on human laws, which in fact do evolve, of course.
Habit isn't anthropocentric?
No, because animals have habits. Animals don't have laws. It's only human beings that have laws. So I would say the metaphor of laws is much more intensely anthropocentric than the metaphor of habit. It's obvious dogs and cats have habits. It's obvious we have them. So we could say that at least we can broaden...
I don't know. Like, that is a good point. Everything that we see, no matter how hard we try, we connect it to humans. And that's to a fault. We see an animal, and we immediately assume that it thinks in a similar way to us, just from the way that it emotes. But we have no idea what they really think. I'd like to assume that animals have fairly complex emotions, but we think of them like human emotions. We have no idea how different they could be. They have their similarities, but we have no idea how they would be different to ours. And beyond animals, when we describe things, fucking put eyes on a rock and suddenly it becomes like a he, we personify things all the time, and he's got this thing like, with laws are inherently a human concept. They're not a thing. They are a concept. Just the idea that we made the universe pretty much human in that way. We've personified the universe as a kind of society that has laws and sticks to it. I do like the idea of it being habits. It's something that it just kind of picked up, something that it started at the beginning and just kind of kept on doing. Of course, there's so many weird ways that animals communicate with each other, and we have no idea how the fuck that works. There are animals that can communicate with, like, smell or leaving chemicals on the ground. How the fuck, how do you understand? What kind of thought does an animal have when it, like, hears a frequency like that? That's not like talking. We relate it to talking, but it's gotta be different, right? It could be more complex, even more simple than we can imagine. We have no idea because we are not an animal. But we act like animals are close enough to humans where we can pretty much just relate it. We can say it's pretty much just that. Just like laws in the universe. We say, well, they happen all the time. we can describe it, it's a thing that keeps on happening, it might as well just be a law, just like how we have. It's fucking weird. It's wonky, bro.
Broaden the spectrum of habit to include most forms of animal that we know. Habituation, which is a kind of habit formation, occurs in unicellular organisms, but laws don't. So I would say this is an intensely anthropocentric metaphor.
Sun rises every day. It's pretty law-like.
Not at all law-like. It's habit-like. You can see it either way. I mean, there are some people I know who...
David Hume commented on that, I well remember.
But look, Rupert, I mean, you know, if you look at this historically, the fact is that it's not anthropocentric, it's theocentric. You may say the model of God, which is itself an anthropocentric model, an anthropomorphic model, but when the idea...
Where do laws come from? Okay. Laws, when we think of it, in point of history, a lot of history was based around religion. And everyone, every culture, every civilization had their own religions. Even the Romans had like a dozen different religions across the empire, but they had one religion that they all stuck to, and that was the Greek god, or the kind of Roman gods. And even though they were more of a ritual kind of thing, but the reason they acted like how they did was justified in their heads by how those Roman gods wanted them to, as their patrons. So where do laws come from? Laws come from how we feel our God would want us to act, morally, and to each other, and all that's the golden rule. That comes from the Bible, that comes from, you know, all kinds of fucking Taoism and Buddhism. That kind of same idea all stems from religion. No guy was just sitting there and just kind of thought, oh man, it'd be nice if we treated each other well. It comes from, you know, their beliefs. But, you know, depending on how you argue it, you could say that religion itself is very human-centric. Everything relates to humans in religion. You know, fucking nobody really cares about the sly fox in their religion or whatever. It's always how important humans are.
Of constant laws was seriously emphasized in the sciences, which wasn't until well into the 17th century. I mean, it was part of a particular theological vision of the universe, so that I mean, what's interesting about your choice of the word, I don't know if you looked up Aquinas on the subject of habitus, but I mean, there is a, you know, I suspect you have a more respectable intellectual ancestry than you would like to believe.
I have nothing against Aquinas. I'm in favor of it.
Yes, fine. No, because I mean, there is, I mean, the idea that what we're interested in understanding are these habitus, you know, and that this is, I think this is a, you know, this is a good part of a traditional Aristotelian point of view. It's interesting that really how late it was that people came to this conviction that the laws of nature were constant. There was absolute doubt about it before about the middle of the 17th century. It was really a matter of great dispute. I mean, one reads Sir Thomas Browne on how the entire universe is in decay, how the greater part of time has gone than is to come, and how we may expect the present dispensation to be dissolved any day now, until you were prepared to believe that the universe was capable of going on for thousands and millions of years in the future. It was really, one was open to these kind of apocalyptic ideas that it was all going to fall apart because there wasn't anything like laws of nature to sustain our conviction that the thing would keep going.
Or if there were laws, as in Burnett's 17th century geology and others, they were only for that short period of a few thousand years between the divine creation and the coming suspension of those laws for the end of things.
Yeah. But that is, in fact, I agree with you entirely. The idea of eternal laws of nature is a theological, mechanistic, scientific, theological mixture of those in the 17th century construction, which, now that the mind of God's been dissolved away from the world machine for most scientists, they're left free-floating as a kind of habitual assumption in the minds of most scientists. And
I want to see just how radical your thesis is. Now, in your view, did triangles just gradually acquire the habit of having, right triangles, of having the square on their hypotenuse be equal to the sum of the squares on the side? Is pi just a habitual ratio between the circumference
it feels
and
very
the
exact,
diameter?
doesn't it? It feels like it was meant to be.
Well, I mean, this is a big question, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
mathematics constructed or is it discovered? I mean, it's a huge philosophical question, and it's not one that I'm terribly concerned with myself. I don't think that there are many right triangles in nature, you see. I think if we get too bogged down in this question, we're dealing with the history of human mathematics. And it's very easy and very natural for mathematicians to be Platonists, to assume that what they discover, what they find, is somehow a kind of eternal, self-subsistent realm of truth.
Well, at least it's timeless.
It's timeless. That's right, but I'm not very interested in right triangles and pi. I'm more interested in nature as we observe it, rather than in mathematical theories per se.
My point was just
I do
that,
think math is
scientists
discovered.
who want to go on believing in, I would say, timeless.
Okay, here's the thing, is that I don't see any other way that we could construct math. There's different ways you can count. Yes, there's base 6, base 9, fucking whatever. But what makes sense is, you know, one thing, two things, you know, and you count that up, and that's how you make the basic numerical system, right? And I think everywhere, anywhere has that. People add differently, but the point is, something plus something equals something. No matter what, the basis, the theorems are always true, and that proves later math to be true as well. So that's why pi, that ratio, that perfect ratio, the Fibonacci sequence seen all over, it's all, that's not something that I could say mathematicians just kind of twisted into creating. That's something, it's not though. So, okay, I guess measuring in itself is a human concept. I get that, right? But the fact that something is so precise, the fact that it's already there and decided, like, the fact that things don't vary, that they happen to be exact, specific, that math even exists, and that the world revolves around it, that everything has to do with physics and being calculated, where we can use algorithms and models to accurately show what the world would do, what anything would do. We can make a model for nearly anything, and it's going to be fairly accurate with math. The idea that we could fucking look trillions of years into the future. 1 wood plus 1 would be 2 burning wood instead of 1 wood. What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, like, fucking, I mean, like, numerically. I don't mean, like, the result. Because in that case, then that's just physics. That's the point where you oversimplify things. You're not really adding wood plus wood. You're adding a object plus friction plus releasing thermal energy, which plus the oxygen in the air creates a burning piece of wood. And it's very pedantic when I say it, I know, but the point is that everything is so complicated, but it's complicated perfectly. It's perfectly complicated, is what I mean.
Constants, timeless regularities, at least have one other source for their one other foundation on which to place this belief. Now that they've abandoned an eternal God, they can say, well, it's just like mathematical truth, really.
Absolutely, I totally agree. That's the most persuasive argument in favor of it. But the fact is, in the philosophy of mathematics, it's not an undisputed position. Because there are always those who think mathematics is this construction rather than an eternal, self-subsistent realm of ideas.
Yes.
So it's an arguable
Those who
point,
think it's
even
a
within the
construction
philosophy of
don't think
mathematics.
it's an evolving construction, I don't think. Not in your sense of evolving.
Oh, I think they do. Or at least some of the ones I know do. I mean, they would say, for example, the realm of chaos and fractal mathematics is evolving right now, and it's evolved because of computers. I'm sure you'd like that point about it. You know, computers have made this kind of modeling possible. Before, you just couldn't visualize these mathematical realms. Now, in that sense, is it that we're just discovering new realms of maths that are already there? Or are we inventing new realms because we've got a technology to visualize these things? I mean, this is a disputed point. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I'm more inclined to the invention than the discovery view there.
And what I wanted to say is that, I mean, in the hard sciences,
This is the Mandelbrot set. The Mandelbrot set was one of the first discovered fractals, and a fractal is an object with a defined area with an infinite perimeter. Now, you see, it is all defined within here. You can see exactly where it starts, right here, and where it ends. It's all makes perfect sense. It can't take up more than a certain amount of area, correct? Now, when we zoom in, it looks like the further we go, the more branches it has, meaning that it has an infinite perimeter, because the farther you go in, the more branches it has. And as you keep adding up every little thing, even if it's by an infinitesimal amount, by like 0.00000, like 10 to the negative fucking 45 or whatever of like a centimeter, it's still going to be growing no matter what, no matter where you decide to keep going into, it's going to keep growing no matter what. And you know, you see at a certain point, you see the whole set over again. It's fucking insane. It's so fucking weird. The colors aren't just for nothing. It is actually a thing. I actually have an application on my computer that does these fractals. If I can look them up real quick. Give me a sec. I forgot that I had this. It's in my fucking data drive somewhere. I can look for it real quick. Okay, let me try to find it. That's not what it's called, is it? Nope. It's I forgot what it was called. I can find it. Yeah, so the colors aren't just for nothing. And I'll show you like what we're working. It's like different layers. Where the fuck is it? Okay. Fucking super hot. Super hot. Super hot. Okay. Where the fuck is it? Somewhere. I'm sure I can find it. I forgot what it was called. Super hot. Where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is it? I'll just look it up real quick and see if I can find the name, and then I can look it up on my computer. Fractal. I don't know. Fractal. Calculator. Oh, fucking. Fractim. I think that's what it was called. I used. No, that's not it. Wait, what? You can see a fractal on Desmos. Ah, this is the looks kind of like the Kant's triangle. So they're plotting points. But they can only go so far. Yeah. You can only compute so far. Before, like, it's just too much. Fractal generator. This is the Kant's triangle. Every single time that you zoom in, you find more and more triangles. Step 7, step 8. Okay, what the fuck is this thing called? Fractal generator. I'm a fucking useful JS. It was something weird. I forgot what the fuck it was called. Visnos? No. 10 free fractal generators. Mandelbrot. Fractive. Oh, I don't think that was it. Not Chaos Pro. Mandelbrot Fractal. JO Wildfire. Yeah, so there's a lot. Like, it's a pretty important thing. I think Numberphile does a good amount of shit about fractals. Where the fuck is my thing? Where's my fractal, bro? No. What is this? I don't even know what the fuck that is. Okay. There's a lot of random, like, folders for nothing, I guess. I don't even know why they're there. Okay. Scroll all the way down to my download folder and see if there's anything. Hoik. I have no idea what the fuck that is. NVH Exile of the Princess. What? What the fuck? I really need to clean up my shit. I have no idea what I have in these folders. God. Okay. Jaywalker. What is that? What the fuck? I have no recollection of any of these things. What is this? Let's search the data. Okay. XAOS. XAOS. Okay, here. I think this might be it. Come on. And here it is. Yep, this is it. This is it. XAOS. Found it. Sec. Okay. Here. Oh, you can't see shit. There we go. Okay. This is. There we go. This is a delicious, classic Mandelbrot set. The one that everyone loves, of course. Now I forgot exactly what the colors meant at the moment. I don't want to say something that I don't really know for certain. Let's see here. Colors, fractal, Numberphile. I'm fairly certain that it was Numberphile that did the video on it. The colors of infinity. I can always look it up to Google. Set. Okay. Okay, so you're plotting the Mandelbrot set, right? So originally the equation was made, and the guy thought like there were smudges with his printer or something, right? Because it just kind of looked like it kept on going. And then he was like, oh, that's weird. And then he got a better computer that could like zoom in, and he saw that it kept repeating itself, and he was like, what? Oh, You might benefit from this area. Okay. Smooth coloring, histogram coloring. Colors are not equally distributed for every iteration, I guess. So you plug in one set of numbers, and it's going to show you everything within these lines here. Right? You plug in another set of numbers, and it's going to show you everything in this shade. Another set of numbers, everything in this shade, and so on. Yes. Greek equation function. No, this was discovered in the last century. The Mandelbrot set is incredibly recent. It is not ancient. We had no fractals. We had no knowledge of actual fractals until very recently. We were aware of rational numbers that went on forever. But nothing like this. Okay, the colors are usually chosen from how fast the sequence diverges, measured by how many iterations it takes zk to become larger than some certain value that guarantees divergence. From Wikipedia, the color of each point represents how quickly the values reached the escape point. Often, black is used to show values that fail to escape the iteration limit. Okay, so the black stays in place, nothing changes there. The next set changes, next set changes, next set changes, and as we move out, more and more things fail to change, and that's why these outer layers that we see here are the purplish, as they kind of like give up. It's fucking insane. It's fucking crazy. They're so weird. I had a fucking obsession like a year ago. Okay, so I can click anywhere here and we can zoom in. So let's go over here, right? Going on a trip in my favorite lines of flying through the sky. Little Einsteins, climb aboard, there's places to explore. Little Einsteins. And of course, this I don't have like a supercomputer, so it's gonna stop at some point. Jesus fucking Christ, look at that. Just keeps on going. Math go boom. So we're gonna see how far we can take it. Jesus Christ. Okay. Still going. Still going. Okay. Okay. Okay, we can see the pixels now. So, I don't know. I don't really control this fucking camera. It's so weird sometimes. But so yeah, we can see the pixels now. This is as far as we can go. We can't go too far. So we can reset it, I think. Yeah, reset the defaults. So, we can make it, we can go the fast Julia mode, where, it'll show us the unique iteration whenever we go to a certain point, which fucking looks cool as shit when you just kind of drag it around. And of course, everything gets closer to changing the closer that we get to the edge, right? Everything gets closer to changing, but it doesn't quite. It's only until we reach the edges that everything just fucking changes. Because the iterations, okay? Rotation, fuck, okay. Iterations, let's go iterations 250. I think that would let us zoom in a bit more. I can see. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go 500. Let's see how fast we can try. Render animation. UI on a zooming speed. Here we go. Zooming speed. I don't know, fucking 20, shall we? Let's try that out. Okay. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Calm down, sailor. Okay. Whoa. Okay, zoom out. Okay. We went too far. Okay. Oh, zoom out. Jesus Christ. Strain my eyes. Okay, well, let's go back down. Oh, okay. A little too fast for my taste. Okay. Whoa. Whoa, okay. And it's Amanda Bronson, everyone. And you can change the palette. Let's see. How do we change this again? I always forget. Where is it? Okay. So, you can do Mandelbrot to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, to the sixth, to fucking Newton. So there's all kinds of different fractals, right? And you can switch them up, but essentially all they have to do is have a defined area, but an infinite perimeter. And I believe the man that discovered it was named Mandelbrot, if I'm not too wrong. Attributed to mathematician Benoit Mandelbrot. Yes. The pioneer of fractal geometry. If you want to see his face real quick. This beautiful little mug. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend. Oof. Okay. So that was the man, the myth, the legend. Let's see here. Yeah, so we have the formless palette. So we can random palette. Let's try color cycling, which is the real trivial one. Let's reset palette to default, right? And then color cycling. Come on. There we fucking go. Large seizure warning. Like fucking gigantic seizure warning right now. So let's go 10. Yeah, so this is the effect that most of those cool videos do. They changed the colors to make it look even trippier. But you know, yes, it's a little garbled mess over there. And this is essentially what Mandelbrot saw when he first did like the printout of the plotting. He did it by hand first, and then he did it on the computer. And then he saw like this kind of thing. He was like, "That's really undefined. This doesn't make any sense, really. It's just." He thought something was wrong with his computer, so he worked on it. He thought he fixed it, and the same thing happened again. And he was like, "Oh, geez, there's something to this." Yeah, it is a very nice album cover. Okay, so let's turn off that shit. What is playing? Oh, okay. Oh no, okay. What? Oh jeez. Oh no. Oh no. It's a little anxiety inducing for me sometimes, because of how hard this thing is to control. But that's fine. Reset the defaults. Out color mode. Yeah, so there's, at first it was counting every iterative. Now it's counting the reals. Wait, before you go, here's the conch snowflake. And if you ever see Mitch's conch, know she probably has some of this in her blood. She's definitely got some fucking mathematician in there that just like made this insanity where it just keeps on going and going and going. Arrivederci. I'll probably step out too, but yeah, this is the conch snowflake. It keeps on going and going and going. The conch snowflakes, yes. Jesus. Oh, she does. She does. I like mentioned fractals to her in the past. And that has a little hole in here, and then it grows on both ends. She definitely knows about it though. Because I've mentioned the conch triangle to her. Carpets. Yeah, it's a weird fucking. All of it's just weird. Oh wait, yo, Phoenix. Congrats, man. You got your own Mandelbrot set. You can now sleep well, knowing about this. Beautiful. Precipitation. Can't make this shit up. Gamer Phoenix Mandelbrot set. It's the truth. It looks like a butt. Oh, that's creepy. I don't like that. I really don't like that. Take me away. Jesus Christ. It just looks so cool. It all looks so cool. Anyway. I think I will now skedaddle. And brush my teeth and the such. Arrivederci, Phoenix. Arrivederci. I am WoW. Okay.